Shemai everyone, and welcome to this lesson on line. So line is one of our formal elements, and I know we looked at that a little bit last week when you created your posters, but today we're going to be exploring it in more depth because line is one of the most fundamental elements in design, as it's usually the first piece and the starting point in an artwork. Let's look over our learning objectives for today then. Today I would like you to develop your understanding about one of the formal elements, which is line. You will understand more about line and its potential in your artwork, and you will be able to name all different kinds of lines and learn techniques of how to draw them. What is a line then? I know we asked this last week. Can anyone remember? A line is a mark made on a surface that joins different points together. So these are some examples of unusual lines that we can create when we draw. For example, we have straight, hills, dots, zigzags, dashes, clouds, castle, loops, mouse ears, swirls, waves, lightning, circle chain, and shapes. Lines can be horizontal, vertical, diagonal, straight, curved, or free form. They can also be thick, thin, maybe they're light or dark, and sometimes they can be all of these things. So I want you to have a look here at the examples of the lines on the left hand side, and you can see someone's created all different types of lines, which is what we're going to be doing today. Before you start doing this though, I want you to have a look at some drawing techniques. So we've got hatching by here, cross hatching, contour hatching, stippling, scumbling, and random hatching. And then we've also got circlism, blending, short dashes, threes or mouse ears, and scribbles. Let's first look at contour hatching. So contour hatching is the direction of the line helps suggest contours in your work, and that also makes it look 3D. So when cross-hatched, they suggest cross contours. So with your lines, you're going back and forth and you're creating dark tones in certain areas, which makes that 3D effect happen. Scumbling, however, is a little bit different because scumbling uses layers of small scribbled marks to build up value and texture. And we looked at value last week, I think, as well. But value is the lightness or darkness of a colour. When you're scumbling, varying the directions adds more interest than a simple circular scribble. So by here, guys, I'm telling you the language that we use to describe these marks because you're going to need to know some of this when you're describing your own work. Random hatching is a little bit different to contour hatching in that it uses layers of short, straight marks. So various textures result depending on whether these short hatches are applied vertically, at right angles, following a contour, or at random angles. So let's have a look at this piece of work by Paul Klee. It was created in 1927 and is called Seaside Resort in the south of France. I'm showing you this piece of work because it uses a lot of different types of lines. What do you think of it? Maybe pause the video now or just think of the answer to yourself. So Paul Klee was a really talented musician, and it's said that he used to read scores quite often and relate his artwork to music. So as you can see, I've put a musical score on the right hand side, and you can almost see the comparison between the two pieces by here because he's used his lines in almost a stippling effect, which is when you create little dots, and you can see that in his musical notes as well that he's been reading. And the lines in the background of the score are the lines in the background of the seaside. But lines can also look different, so they can be controlled or loose. So the lines created on the left, the image of the face, they look quite controlled, don't they? Because someone's used a ruler, I imagine. And the closer they've put their lines together, the darker their artwork gets. So that's something to be aware of. And they've also used some geometric shapes to bring the face to life. However, the artwork on the right hand side, that looks quite different. That's very loose, but it's gestural and you can still understand it. It looks like a group of people. These lines, however, have been created using contour, so they've been curved in a way that makes it look lifelike and three-dimensional. I think the image on the right as well, someone's used some kind of pencil shading technique on top of their lines to really enhance that 3D effect. So I hope you're seeing now, guys, that lines can look completely different when we use them in different ways. This artist, Omar Chamorro, uses lines in his work and not outlines. So you can see he's creating the inner part of the artwork without enhancing the outside, but we still know what it is because of how he has used these lines effectively. I want you to look now at this drawing of a teapot, and I really want you to observe the different types of lines that are happening in this drawing. So we've got some thick lines along the bottom rim of the teapot, and we've also got some cross hatching for the darker shaded part of the teapot, as well as some small lines, and we've got a gap in the lines as well, which almost enhances the perhaps smoothness and reflection of the teapot. So, as you know more about lines now, we're going to be moving on to our main task, or prif task, as it's said in Welsh. So you're going to need a piece of paper, a pen, and a ruler. Today we're going to be practicing drawing all the kinds of various lines that you've learned in this video. First, I'd like you to draw 9 boxes on your paper and add the title types of lines. If you don't have a ruler or you'd prefer to do a different version, I'm going to be telling you what you can do next. So this is the second version of the task, if you don't have a ruler or you just like to do this version instead. And what I'd like you to do is draw an outline of your hand using a pen and add the title types of lines, exactly like version 1, but you're just not using the boxes, you're using your hand instead. If you've decided to do the box version, what I'd like you to do inside these boxes is practice as many different line techniques as you can. So you can refer back to this video when I told you about maybe the random hatching, the scumbling, or the contour hatching. And what I'd like you to do is draw in those boxes and then label them underneath. However, if you're doing version number 2 with your hand, what you're going to be doing is drawing loads of different types of lines on the inner part of your hand. But I'd like them both to have the title types of lines. So pick which one you'd like to do. It's up to you, whichever one. But once you're finished, I'd like you to upload your final version of them to Teams. And I'm really excited to see your work for this, guys, because last week the posters were wonderful. So good luck, Hoyle for now, and I'll speak to you later. Bye.